Yeah, I got you. Or you want me to start off?
No, I'll start it off. It's fine. Hello and welcome to episode 30, the big old 3. This is No Narratives podcast. I'm your boy Big Moon, and I'm accompanied by my boy K Stay, and we're here to talk about the college football playoffs that is finally set in stone after yesterday's conference championship games. And man, it was a pretty good Saturday if you were into college football. We'll start it off with the Big Ten champs. Oregon beats Penn State to win their championship. Georgia and Texas with a very close game. Georgia comes out to win in overtime. Arizona State demolishes Iowa State in the Big 12 Conference Championship.
Yeah, did they?
Friday, Boise State punched their ticket into the playoffs by beating UNLV.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the game that I thought was pretty good and crazy was Clemson winning the ACC championship and punching their ticket into the playoffs for the seventh time against SMU. Kyle, first year with this kind of bracket system. What do you expect?
What do I expect? I'll tell you one thing that a lot of people didn't expect, and that's Alabama not being in it. I'm gonna say that right now. There's a lot of people upset right now because of the fact that when they announced that they're going to a, what is it, 12 team playoff, is that what it is?
12-team playoff
12
bracket.
team 12 team college football playoff, that we are getting the best college football teams. And a lot of people seem to think that, well, Alabama's better than some of these teams on this board. I mean,
If you really look at
and
it,
they're
yeah.
and when you look at it, they're not wrong. I would probably take Alabama over SMU. I would probably take Alabama potentially over Indiana. They had a good season this year, though. I'd take Alabama over Clemson. You could potentially even take Alabama over Boise State. I mean, and Boise State's ranked number 3 on here. It's not a knock against these teams. It's just you've got other teams that probably are better overall, but due to the landscape of the college football bracket and the way that the system worked itself out, I guess what I'm getting at is these aren't the 12 best teams in college football, is what I'm getting at. And I think that's what a lot of people are going to be butthurt about. I'm all for it. It gives other teams an opportunity to come out and showcase their program and showcase their talent level. Showcase gives the other kids that don't go to big name schools such as Indiana. Indiana isn't known for having a great college football program. Clemson has fallen on hard times the last several years, so they're able to squeak in. Arizona State hasn't had a great college football program. Even the game that Arizona State had against Iowa State, and I think they blew them out. It wasn't even close.
It wasn't
But
close.
Iowa State is much more known for having a better college basketball program than a college football program. You know, it gives the chances of like Penn State an opportunity to play. Penn State's been a really good college football team the last several years, but they've never been able to make it past Ohio State, Michigan last year, and teams such as that up in the Northeast. So it's, it gives teams that haven't been able to make it. They've been on the cusp, but they haven't been able to break into the top 4. Gives them an opportunity. Gives an opportunity such as Texas, who lost yesterday against Georgia, and what was an amazing game. And I was telling my dad going into it, I was like, Georgia has to win this game. If Georgia doesn't win this game, they're not going to be in the college football playoffs because they've already got 2 losses on their record. They've got to win this game. If Texas loses, they'll be in it. And lo and behold, that's what happened. But it gives Texas the opportunity. Okay, we lost yesterday, but we're still in the college football playoffs. It gave a team like Ohio State. Ohio State didn't have a great year, but they had a good enough year to be in the top 10. Gives them an opportunity to be in there. Same with Tennessee. So I'm all for the college football. I'm all for this bracket. I'm all for the, expanding it, making it bigger. However, I don't know if this is what people had in mind when they said, yeah, 12 college teams in college football playoffs. This isn't what they had in mind. They were thinking like it was damn near going to be, what was it, Alabama, Miami. You were going to have some of these.
They expected at least 4 SEC teams to be in the
Yeah, they
playoffs this
expected
year.
at least 4 SEC teams. Like we're talking like the top of the top. Who's going to be in there, who's not going to be in there. Like, Alabama is ranked number 11, Miami Ole Miss had a solid year. It's you left off a lot of teams on here that really could have done something. That even Missouri being 9-3 in the SEC. It's are these really the best teams in college football? I mean, but you and I've been preaching it on other episodes, and for the NFL, on any given day, a team can win. And
Exactly.
college football is a much different beast than it is in the NFL. These kids come out, they coming out swinging because they're coming out to make a name for themselves. So
So I would explain why Alabama did miss out, even though they're ranked number 11 the in the polls. It came down to Clemson winning the ACC title game yesterday. Clemson went into that game at ranked number 16 in the country, as SMU was ranked number 7. SMU came a little bit jittery in the first quarter in that game, and Clemson just took off 21-0 after the first quarter. After the first quarter, SMU kind of got the nerves out of them, and they made it a game all the way to the end where Clemson wins it at the final second with a 56-yard field goal, I believe it was.
that was amazing. Yeah, no, it was the way they played that was perfect.
So with Clemson winning, the way the works, from my understanding, is the automatic bids for the playoffs are the Power Five conference championships, which was Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, Arizona State, Clemson.
Hmm.
The lowest ranked conference champion automatically gets the number 12 seed, and that's where Alabama would have fell into if Clemson would have lost their game last night. But also because SMU made it a game, and they made it look like they can compete for a national title, they get I believe, number 11 seed.
The number 11 seed, yes.
They get the number 11 seed, so automatically that takes out Alabama. As much as everybody hates it, I mean, that's just how it goes. And then, also, you got to also go by what went on during the season. I mean, the only bad loss that I'll give Alabama was when they lost to Oklahoma 34-3. That was their worst game. Of course, there's other teams that are probably 3 lost teams. I think Tennessee is one of them as well. But that's just the way it is. It's just kind of the landscape. I know, of course, we're used to seeing Alabama every year, and
Tennessee was a 2-loss team, by the way.
wow. Oh, okay, I thought there were 2. Well, thank you for that correction. But I mean, as much as everybody is used to seeing Alabama, I mean, now that Nick Saban's not there, it's a whole new era. I mean, it's a surprise, but not a surprise in any type of way. So now that we got the 12 teams in, now it goes by the first round. First round automatically is the top 5 through 12 teams.
Hmm.
5 through what is it?
5 through 12.
5 through 12. The highest seeds host playoff games in their respective college cities.
Hmm.
First round starts December 20th. The first one to kick off will be Notre Dame versus Indiana, where they host them at Notre Dame at South Bend.
Hmm.
I honestly see Notre Dame taking off on that one, even though Indiana did have a good team. When I saw them play Ohio State, it kind of showed like, yeah, I'm surprised they
Show
even
their
made the
limitations.
playoffs. Right.
Yeah.
So that one's there. Then the other 3 games will be on December 21st, where you'll see number 6 Penn State hosts at number 11 SMU at Beaver Stadium in Pennsylvania. Then we got
That'll be the morning game at 11 a.m.
11, yes sir. And then the one I really want to see is number 5 Texas hosting the ACC champs Clemson at Austin, Texas. That's going to be a game for sure, I believe. And then another one that I think will be a good one will be Ohio State hosting number 9 Tennessee in
Hmm.
Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I'm for you, and I haven't watched a whole lot of college football this year, but I do think if I remember watching some football, I think I watched the Tennessee Alabama game. Tennessee could be sneaky, so that's
Right.
not a that that might be the best game for that weekend, just because of Ohio State and Tennessee being 8 and 9. That might be the best game, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I mean, I don't know who the outcome will come out of that. It's all speculation, and we'll put the bracket up on the video so everyone who's watching can see what we're looking at, and they can see kind of what we have in front of us. You have any predictions by any chance, or who do
So
you see who do you see making it out of the first round? Let me ask you that.
I'll go with Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, and Penn State. Uh,
Okay.
I like SMU. I like what they showed, their grit in their game yesterday, but it also shows that they don't have any experience dealing with big games like that. So if it starts off bad, especially in Penn State where it's a loud stadium, the students there go crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a little rough for them for sure. Like I said, Texas. I mean, I thought Texas had it in the bag yesterday, especially after Georgia lost Beck to the elbow injury. But shout out to Gunner. I know his last name is
Stockton.
Gunner Stockton. Dude didn't really see much playing time at all this year, and he just came out there and he pretty much took in charge of the whole offense. And
Hmm.
I mean, he set him up to win. I mean, and it kind of scared me when he had got that big old hit by that Texas defender.
And I'll say this: I'm glad the SEC refs, they went back and they looked at it and they picked up the penalty because it wasn't targeting. You go
Right.
back and look at it, and
It was just a
I
big
mean,
hit.
it was just a big hit. That's all it was. It was a big hit, and it was shoulder pad to shoulder pad. I mean, it was just a big hit, and it was scary because his helmet came flying off.
Right,
So
and then what happens? He gets out the game, and surprisingly, Carson Beck comes in for one play, and that play
one
was the
play and
game
hands it
winning
off, and
was the
that's the
game
game winning
winning
play.
exactly. So for sure, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Sadly, I don't see Indiana giving Notre Dame any type of
Yeah,
competition. I mean, after that Ohio State game, I just don't believe. If they do it, then hey, that could be the Cinderella story. You know what I'm saying? Like the end of
it
the day,
really
these
could be.
right these playoffs is giving me like March Madness kind of vibes. You
And
get your
with the
bid
more
into
teams, because you're giving more smaller teams an opportunity to
exactly,
showcase, and that's the
exactly.
one thing that I think they wanted to do with the college football, the expanding of the bracket. So I can agree with you. I can see I see Texas winning, I see Penn State winning, I see Notre Dame winning. I'm gonna go with Tennessee, believe it or not, over Ohio State. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
gonna go with Tennessee over Ohio State, and it's not that I don't dislike Ohio State. I just haven't been really impressed with them this year. I would like to see Ohio State win. You know, my dad is from Ohio. My quarterback CJ Stroud's from Ohio State. You know, of course I wanna see Ohio State do good, but like I said, Tennessee can be sneaky. I mean that's a sneaky team coming out of the SEC. When you look at the SEC, they're technically
NFL.
they're either the third or fourth best team behind Texas, Georgia, Alabama. So I mean, they're and the way that the bracket is set up right now, they have them over Alabama. So I mean, that's why I'm saying that, you know, Tennessee could be sneaky. You go into the quarterfinals, you've got which would be played on New Year's Eve weekend. That hasn't changed.
Yeah,
Or
it'll
no,
be hosted by
that has
the bowl games, the New York Six, I think that's what they called or something like that.
yeah, the
Games.
New Year's Six.
They'll be sites.
Right. All neutral sites. Arizona State will host the Peach Bowl presented by Chick-fil-A. That'll be played on New Year's Day at noon. Then you've got the Rose Bowl. Oregon will be hosting the Rose Bowl. They play at 4 p.m. on New Year's Day. There's only one game being played on New Year's Eve, and that's going to be the Fiesta Bowl hosted by Boise State. They'll play the winner of SMU and Penn State. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. on New Year's Eve. And then you've got the Sugar Bowl will be played on New Year's Eve or on New Year's Day, hosted by Georgia. They will be that'll be your primetime game, your nighttime game on New Year's Day. So it's got some good college football coming up, man. There's
Right.
definitely no way around that. With all that said and done, and it's hard to say that, especially with how this bracket is so expanded. Who do you see making it all the way to the Natty, and then who do you see winning the Natty?
I see Oregon making it to the championship game, and then after that,
Yo,
it's either be
so
Georgia
this
or Texas. That's all I can say. I can only
it can't
believe
be
in
Tech, and
SEC
that's the
game.
thing. It can't be Texas.
You know why? Because they'll play
You look
Oregon.
at the
Yeah,
bracket. You look at the bracket. It'll either be Oregon or Texas the one side, and then it'll either be and then you got
Georgia or
it's
Boise.
Georgia or Boise State, and depending on how serious that injury is with Carson Beck, I don't know.
Hey, if I'm Georgia though, I'm happy with Gunner Stockton as my backup.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I'm not discrediting him, but you did say that the lack of playtime this year could affect him. I mean, it really
right,
depends a whole lot. I can see Penn State. I can see Penn State kind of running the gauntlet. I ain't gonna lie.
right.
I can see Penn State knocking off SMU. I can see Penn State knocking off Boise State. And depending on Beck's status, and the lack of experience for Gunnar Stockton. And it's not to take away from him. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I'm just, I'm trying to be a little logical here. I could see Penn State potentially running the gauntlet here and coming out of that part of the bracket. Now whoever comes out of that bracket, if it's not Georgia with Carson Beck, I'm giving it to Oregon or Texas because I think either Oregon or Texas is coming out of the top part of this bracket. And whoever's coming out of there, I think, is going to win the national championship unless Georgia has Carson Beck and he's 100% healthy.
Right. No, like you said, you have Penn State as basically your black horse. I'm not.
Hmm.
There's one team that we haven't talked about, Notre Dame. They could be a surprise as well.
Yeah,
You
you're
know.
definitely not wrong. Notre Dame is no slouch at all.
Right.
So
I
it's
mean,
there's some good college football getting ready to come up, and
right.
we're just speculating on a few teams. And I've already said at the very beginning of this episode, I am not a huge college football entrepreneur or college football enthusiast or whatever you want to call it. I don't know a whole lot about college football. It's just my schedule doesn't allow me to really watch it all that much. I work graveyard shifts all week long, and I'm usually asleep during Saturday when games are on. So I don't know a whole lot of what's going on. So I
Right.
catch what I can, and I gotta hear it through the grapevine on everybody else. So it's just knowing from some of the things that I know, and some of the things that I have been able to witness. I mean,
It's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a. It's
it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
good.
good. It's gonna be good. I think the biggest gripe about everybody right now is they're complaining about like Alabama's not in it, Miami's not in it. Some of these other teams that could be better than SMU or Clemson or
Mhm.
Indiana, they're like, well, this team should be in there, or this team is better than that team. Why aren't they in there? It's like it's how you broke it down earlier. It's how the chips fell.
Right. You know, then a day like Miami, I'm a huge Hurricane fan. I lived in Miami. I know all about the U. Our GOAT, Andre Johnson, is from the U as well. So I mean, but like you said, this is the way the chips fell. Miami lost two of their last three games, and the only way they were going to really get into it after they got their first loss was to get into the ACC title game.
Mm,
And when they got their second loss, it didn't happen. So
yeah,
automatically,
derailed them from doing it.
after they got derailed, I mean, it was already automatic that they wasn't going to be in there. But man,
Hmm.
everybody really did expect Alabama. And I mean, people can be mad about it. It could, it could have either way. It can go a different narrative as well. Like, what happens if five SEC teams made the college football playoffs? Then there's going to be issues about that. Oh, you're not really giving other
Yeah,
conferences
the
chances
opportunity,
to the
chances, and
opportunities
opportunities to do it. Yeah.
right? But at least with this first year playoff bracket, especially also with transfer portals, this whole aspect of the landscape of college football can change to the biggest. Because in the day now there's playoffs, so now I mean there'll be some kids that just want to play for a team that can make a playoff run. So you never know who you can get. Like look at Oregon. I think Oregon will probably be the top team to go and get their national title just because of the recruiting they did this offseason with
Hmm.
transfer portals. They had got A&M's best receiver. They had got some linebackers. Their whole backfield is as transfer portal players.
Hmm.
So, I mean, shout out to them. They knew how to get into it for sure. They knew how to make themselves the number one team in the country for now, right now.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I just watched Patrick Mahomes run, and he got out of bounds. he didn't he didn't fake anything.
Hey, you better not the way it's
Yo,
going.
that's going back to our episode last week of talking about Aziz Al Shire getting suspended.
Right.
he
So
he said, "I'm getting out of bounds. I ain't faking nothing."
yeah, so I mean, in the day, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's still bowl games. I mean, Colorado. Shout out to Coach Prime. He made his Buffs
And
made a bowl
I was
game.
gonna say this. I mean, with Colorado, I mean, that's another team that really excelled in the transfer portal as well because they did a lot of changing. They did a lot of rebuilding on that offensive line from last year, and they did a lot of fixing on that defense because of the transfer portal. So they as well were able to kind of retool that team through the transfer portal.
Right,
So
and
you're right.
they had their chance to get into the playoffs too. But I mean, losing some of those conference games really hurt them.
Really hurt them. Yeah, I said
Yeah,
help.
so
Really hurt them.
I mean, in the day, now it's all about from what it looks like. Win your conference. If you want your team to secure win in the Power Five conferences, secure a conference title.
Kind
I
of sounds
mean,
like the same thing in the NFL, don't you think? Win your
don't you
division.
think? Right. It's crazy. I mean, like I said, it's the first year with this format. We'll see how it goes. I mean,
First year with this format, it's they're really gonna have growing pains. Like I'm
right.
pretty sure you're getting ready to say
Just
that
trust me.
they're gonna have
Yeah.
growing pains.
Because trust me, I didn't like the 14 playoff. That was just stupid to me. I never liked it when they introduced it. Now that
I mean,
now
it wasn't enough.
it wasn't enough.
It wasn't
Exactly.
enough.
You hit it
It
in the
should have
nail.
either been it should have been 6 teams or 8 teams, and it could have been this for 6 teams. It could have been the top 1 and 2 seeds, or the 1 and 2 ranked teams get a bye week, and then the other teams play in the semifinal, and then the winners of that play. You could have done that, or if you did 8 teams, then everybody plays. But it should have never been 4 teams because that's not giving enough teams an
A
opportunity to do
chance.
anything.
Right.
So you got so
Because
many.
there always would be two SEC teams and then Big 12 and probably Big 10. That's
Mhm.
it. It was always like that every year. Or even
So
ACC
it's
because of Clemson.
because of Clemson, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's, but
To me now, it's just, is it a good thing to have a bye or is it going to be a bad thing to have a bye? That's going to be the
I
crazy
think
thing.
I think it's a good thing to have a bye if you're Georgia, because Georgia is now trying to figure out what they're going to do with Carson Beck, and if he's not able to go, it gives you another week to prepare with Gunnar Stockton.
Right.
Now, it not having and then it works on the flip side. Texas losing to Georgia last night, they're not going to want to wait another week to play. They're going to want to go out there and play. So that maybe that bye doesn't affect them. Maybe they would much rather play right now. So I think it works. I think it works if you got injuries. Kind of like, the Texans had such a late bye week this year.
Right.
We had a lot of guys nicked up. We had injuries, yada yada yada. I mean, it works because we get that week towards the end of the season. You can kind of get some of these guys refreshed to lock back in. In this instance, maybe some of these teams are riding a high. That SMU Clemson game yesterday was insane,
Same.
playing playing out of their mind. Maybe they'll want to wait. We're clicking on all cylinders. Let's go out there and play again. We'll see. We'll see how things go. You got anything else you want to add, brother, before we call it?
No, sir.
No, sir. Hey, this was a special edition for us, guys. It was not only because we were doing a college football one, which we haven't done all year long, but it was episode 30. That's big for us. So definitely appreciate the love. Definitely appreciate the support. And, like, comment, share,
Subscribe
subscribe
if you're not already.
if you're not already. We'll be recording tomorrow. We're still gonna bring you your NFL content. So we'll be back at it with episode 31 tomorrow. As always, your boy Kyle, Big Moon. We will talk to y'all later.